Hello, and welcome to my live tonight on the Law of Addition from John C. Maxwell's The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. I'm doing this review of a book and of this book, and I'm just going through and I'm hitting the highlights. And I'd like for you to buy the book, and then I can hear comments on what you think about these things. I would love that. I would love to hear comments from people. So, you love the book? Oh, okay, Gavin Gamel. I hope I said that correctly. Thank you for saying that. It is an amazing book. And as I was saying, and thank you for the likes, liking, following, subscribing, all those things really help to get what I'm doing out there. And I'm trying to do that. It feels a little uncomfortable for me sometimes to do these videos, but I do them anyway because I think that leadership is an important skill. And you might be like me and you might think, I'm just a follower. That was how I thought for many years. But now I'm learning that I have some leadership skills. And along with that, or perhaps contributing to that, or is the fact that I feel very much like the leadership stuff that I'm learning is applicable to everybody in all ways of life. And if you've always been a leader, you can learn more about leadership, and you can learn maybe more about following too. And if you have always been a follower, you can learn leadership skills. That's what I'm trying to do. I've always been a follower, and I'm trying to learn leadership skills. And I'm sharing my journey with you. And I hope to encourage you to read the book if you haven't read it, or if you have read it, that you'll enjoy hearing about things again, because it's a nice book in that you can pick it up and just kind of read one section and then put it back down. But I'm going through the book, and I've done some videos already. I have a meowing cat in the background. I don't know if you can hear him, and I've fed him and everything. I think he misses my husband. He's more of a cat person. So I think he's complaining. I don't know if anything's going to, I don't know what he's asking for. If I figure that out, I'll let you know. Maybe he'll stop meowing. But in the meantime, we may just have to listen to meowing for this particular episode. And last time I talked about the first part of this chapter, the Law of Addition, which is leaders add value by serving others. And I talked a little about how I am doing delivery now. And part of me really loves it. I don't have to have however many degrees I have. I have 2 bachelor's degrees, a master's degree, and now I'm working on an AA degree in music. But that does not make a leader. Education does not make a leader. And also, education does not make money. A lot of people think that if you have a good education, that you'll just automatically make money, but that's not always the case at all, actually. And leaders add value by serving others. And I talked about it's improper for one person to take credit when it takes so many people to build a successful organization. And that was a quote from Jim Sinegal, I think might be the way his name is pronounced. And he is talking about, or there's a whole section in here, and I'm not going to read it, but he works with a retail chain, and he really believes in treating his employees well, and kind of started that many years ago. And the company that he works for is still treating employees well. So, and that's adding value. Adding value, treating people well is adding value. Are you making things better for the people who follow you? The bottom line in leadership is not how far we advance ourselves, but how far we advance others. And even as I read that, I'm getting, kind of feeling a little bit like, oh, is that really true? Because I've always been afraid to help others, and I always felt like I had to serve myself, but now I'm finding that I'm doing delivery and I'm serving other people, um, that I really like that, and serving them directly, not as a waiter or waitress, but just serving them and bringing them something that they need, but did not want to go out to get or were not able to a lot of times. And that's serving other people. And I do make an income from that, which is very helpful. And I'm very thankful for that. And how can I add value? One thing, and I wasn't the person who thought of this, but I heard a radio preacher talk about it. The old trailblazer, I believe is his name, and you might have heard of him. But he talked about dedicating his business to God. And since he's talked about that, I've found myself most days praying that God will bless the things I deliver and the people I deliver them to. And that's one way we can add value to a business is give it to God, basically, to give that to God. And I think God wants us to make things better for the people who follow us. I think that's part of the whole human interconnection is making people better, making other people that we come in contact with better. And I've been doing that a lot in a lot of ways because I like to try to give advice if I hear somebody's got an issue or problem or something. And people don't always want to hear my advice. And it may not even be that great. But that's certainly the thing that I want to do, is to give advice. But how can I do that in a way that serves others and brings in income? That's something to be thinking about. And that's one reason that I'm going through this book is because I'm learning how to add value and make an income from it. So it is a little bit freaky, to think about, how much value can I give to others? Um, because it makes it seem like I'm gonna go broke, but that's not really the way it is. Actually, the people who make the most money a lot of time, most of the time, I would say, are serving others in some form or fashion. And thank you, Living Life. That's a sweet compliment. I appreciate that. I'm doing a TikTok and a YouTube live. So let's talk about adding value and changing lives. And this is on page 58 of this book, which if you don't have it, please get it. And I'm going through it. Learning to be a better leader and sharing what I learned with you. Truly value others. Becoming a leader means to give up our right to think of ourselves first. We need to focus on others. We must value people and demonstrate our caring in a way that our followers know it. And that's what the example of Jim Sinegal does. He did that. He valued his employees, and as a result, his company grew a lot. Number two, make ourselves more valuable to others. The whole idea of adding value to other people depends on the idea that you have something of value to add. And you see, I did, but I didn't know I had something of value. And I know that sometimes, in my description, I've changed sometimes my description on TikTok. And the other day, or it's been a while, that I had not sure what that was, but oh, it's a heart. Thank you. The other day, or it was a while ago, I said something about I'm teaching people how to value, or teaching moms that they have value. And that is one thing I'd like to do, is to teach moms that they have value, because I think a lot of times we don't think we have value. And especially if we don't have a part-time job and we're homeschooling, and it just feels like we have no value. I am also a compulsive under earner in in recovery. So it's really easy for me to think of myself as not having any value. And that might be your issue too. So make ourselves more valuable to others. And the irony is that that increases our value. And it also, I think, it helps us to see our value, which we don't always see. Know and relate to what others value. Inexperienced leaders are quick to lead before knowing anything about the people they intend to lead. But mature leaders listen, learn, and then lead. And that's what we want to be. We want to listen to other people, we want to learn, and then we want to lead. So it's not a quick process of becoming a leader. And I think we talked a little about listening in the last video. Do things that God values. And here, John C. Maxwell quotes Eugene Peterson from The Message, and talks about things that Jesus said. I was hungry and you fed me. I was thirsty and you gave me a drink. I was homeless and you gave me a room. I was shivering and you gave me clothes. I was sick and you stopped to visit. I was in prison and you came to me. So those are all ways that we can serve God, maybe by serving other people in those capacities. We tend to think, oh, well, God's way up there in the clouds. And we don't think of how we can serve God and show God by actually treating others as we would if that person was Jesus. How would we treat that person? The other night, I went to a foot washing and I really enjoyed it. And there were a couple of people who just came up and asked if they could wash my feet. And it was so beautiful, and I'm so thankful I was able to be there. And it was difficult. And one of them was a young girl, and I didn't know her at all, but she wanted to wash my feet. And it was such a huge blessing to let her do that. And it, that's a biblical thing. And it was really nice. And she was serving me. There was no money to be made, but she was practicing service. And I really appreciated that. So do things that God values. I'm not going to go into detail, but I'll talk a little about the math doesn't add up when you embrace, or the math that doesn't add up. When you embrace the law of addition and become a leader who adds value by serving others, in the end, the math does not add up. Why do I say that? Because when you give, you receive back even more than you give. And what you give gets multiplied. I think of this as the servanthood surprise. Here's how I experienced it. I thought adding value to others was what I should do, but I got a heart that valued people. When we help others, we can see them as weak. When we try to fix others, we see them as broken. These attitudes make us feel superior. But when we serve others, we see them as valuable. This changes us. It becomes part of us. Valuing people is part of my identity. Someday I will no longer be leading others, but I will never stop serving them. That's who I am and what I do. Thank you for following me. Thank you for subscribing and liking and watching this. I really appreciate that. Um, my name is Patsy Shore, Patricia Shore on LinkedIn. And thank you for the hearts, the love. I really appreciate that. And please feel free to share this video. I hope it helps people. And I hope it helps people to read this book, which was suggested to me by Michelle O'Neill, who's the founder, and now she likes to. Her goal is helping other people make $1 million, which is a pretty cool goal. And so she talked about this book and how she read it and how it influenced her. And I started reading it, and I wanted to share it with y'all. I often share things like that with my kids, but they haven't been here much lately, so I'm sharing it with y'all, and maybe we can all learn something, or at least be entertained. This is for entertainment purposes only, but if you learn something, ain't my fault. So I hope you have a wonderful evening. I hope you buy this book. I'll do some more talking about the law of addition and how adding value also actually multiplies, which is pretty cool. Sort of like compound interest in a way. But that's for another video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again soon. I hope you have a prosperous evening.